Right now, a fire on Madison's north side leaves multiple people displaced, what authorities are saying. Also, it is the final day of the Frozen Assets Festival, how the event continues to keep Madison's lakes clean. And there can't be a Super Bowl without Super Bowl watch parties. We take you to one local party on how they're helping local veterans. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Madison's Frozen Assets Festival wrapped up with some fun this evening. Our Meryl Hubbard spoke with some people who took advantage of the clear skies before packing up.
I'm out on Lake Mendota, where it's the last day of the Frozen Assets Festival, where people are skating, biking, kite flying, and even skydiving.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's amazing seeing all of the people falling from the sky in the parachutes. They were angels.
It's a spectacle seeing humans drop from the sky.
I'm still very nervous every time.
But for Donna Lassiter, she's watching her son jump into thin air.
But I'm confident in his ability. He's one of the safety instructors. He does a lot of safety procedures with his group.
Testing the sky's limits is something her son says he's done hundreds of times.
I've done about a total of 500 skydives. Today I've only done 2 and probably will try to do 4.
Isaac Lassiter jumps with Seven Hills Skydivers, a nonprofit skydiving center located 15 minutes outside of Madison.
It is a very close-knit community.
He says about 25 of them were soaring on Sunday.
I think every story that you ask the other skydivers, it's all individualistic. But for me, there's always a baseline adrenaline that I wanted.
It's that adrenaline that brings balance to his life.
So I typically jump on the weekends and do my research in the weekdays.
He's studying to get his PhD in astrophysics.
When it comes to research, there's a lot of uncertainty and you have to always think about that. And it requires a different type of focus, and I think skydiving really taps into that as well.
Whether Isaac is searching the stars or soaring the skies, it's his passion that makes his mom proud.
He studies about it. They practice a lot, and so he loves it. So that makes me love it because it's something he's successful at.
Reporting in Madison, Meryl Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Meryl, thank you. We're now going to head outside for a look at our first warn forecast. Meteorologist Blaze Keller joins us from the weather patio. Blaze, how does it feel out there?
A little chilly. We've got the clear skies. We don't have the clouds trapping in some of that heat, but the clear skies made for a beautiful end to the weekend and a quiet Super Bowl Sunday. We are going to watch as temperatures continue to drop across southern Wisconsin, but notice that north of the Dells, they're in the single digits right now, and everybody else is at least in the teens. That's because further north, they got more snow on Saturday, so they're going to be cooler not only tonight, but into your Monday as well. Into Dane County, it's 15 in Sauk City, as well as in Deerfield, 17 in Stoughton and Belleville. A little bit cooler than the same time yesterday by about 5 to almost 20 degrees, depending on if you have snow or don't. And as we step ahead into next week, we're still continuing to track a system moving through the Midwest on Wednesday, later Wednesday into Thursday. We'll talk about that in the full forecast. It is going to be quiet tonight, and we'll also chime out some snow chances Monday night as well. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you in just a few. And stay up to date on the weather on our First Warn Forecast weather app. It is hourly forecast, road conditions, and the latest radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather. A local VFW is using Super Bowl Sunday to give back to veterans. The nonprofit hosted a chili cook-off that was an instant success. Our Tanasia Shaw has more.
Veterans of Foreign Wars is a nonprofit that gives back to those that served.
Anyone who's been deployed overseas can become a member here. We do events for community. We do like this event. We do Tours for Tots, which is in December, the second week of December.
On Super Bowl Sunday, a Madison chapter hosted a chili cook-off, raising nearly $800.
100% of the proceeds is going to Heat and Housing for Heroes. And we actually ran out about 1:30, 2 o'clock, which was amazing.
The chili only lasted about 2.5 hours, but everyone got to raise a lot of money for our veterans.
I'm going to do it again next year. This is going to be hopefully an event every year before the Super Bowl. So I'm looking forward to next year.
If you missed Sunday's event, VFW 7591's bar and event space is open for the public to use throughout the year. Reporting in Madison, Tanasia Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanasia, thank you. Organizers also said the winner of the chili cook-off won by just 4 points. Staying in the theme of the Super Bowl, now if you're planning on taking Monday off because of the big game, you may have some company. The USA Today is reporting a new Harris poll that found that more than 22.5 million people across the U.S. plan to miss work. That's up 40% from a year ago. But researchers also found that only 2% said they plan to call in sick, while another 2% said they plan to, quote, ghost their employer and just not show up. The poll estimates that nearly 13 million people will take a pre-approved day off and 4.8 million will swap shifts with a coworker. Now to some more local news. A mobile home is considered a total loss after fire on Madison's north side Sunday morning. MFD said the fire occurred on the 500 block of Waxwing Way after 7 a.m. where smoke was visible in the sky for several blocks. The trailer was fully engulfed in flames when fire crews arrived. 5 residents and a dog lived in the home. Everyone, fortunately, was able to evacuate. Unfortunately, one person was treated and released for minor injuries. The cause of the fire is under investigation, and nothing suspicious in nature is expected. A 23-year-old Belleville man is dead after a crash in the town of Albany Sunday morning. The Greene County Sheriff's Office said just before 1 a.m., a Ford pickup truck was southbound on English Settlement Road, where it proceeded through a yield-controlled intersection onto Dunphy Road. The vehicle traveled across Dunphy Road, where it collided with an embankment on the south side of the road and traveled up a hill, striking a bank of trees before coming to a rest. The man was the lone occupant of the vehicle and was pronounced dead at the scene. An investigation is ongoing. Tonight, Israelis are being asked to turn their shock into action. Those words printed by Haaretz, the longest-running newspaper in Israel, following the return of 3 hostages held by Hamas terrorists this weekend. CBS's Chris Livesay reports from Tel Aviv, where cheers turned to outrage.
After 16 months in Hamas captivity, it shows. Eli Sharabi embraces his brother and sister just after his release from a dungeon. His father-in-law, Pete Brisley, comparing Sharabi to how he looked before and after, was horrified.
To see the emaciated state that they've put him in, an absolute disgrace, and that was an absolute shock, and we both sat and cried. It looked as though he'd come out of a concentration camp.
Just before Sharabi was released, Hamas forced him to tell the crowds in Gaza that he was excited to be reunited with his wife and daughters. However, they were all killed during the October 7 terror attack, something Hamas knew very well. He did not find out until relatives broke the news back home. But there was good news, too. Or Levy, kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival, where Hamas killed his wife, was reunited with his 3.5-year-old son, Almog. As part of the ceasefire agreement, the Israeli military withdrew its forces from the Netzarim corridor, which split Gaza between the north and south. Scores of Palestinians were quick to flood the roads back home. They deprived us of food and water, says Mohammed, but we're still alive. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Coming up next on News 3 Now at 10, Blaze returns with a complete look of your First One forecast. And we take a look at a new CBS News poll on how Americans view President Trump's job so far. And a face that has made many headlines recently weighs in on whether or not they'd buy social media app TikTok.
News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for staying with us. The U.S. government's headquarters for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is closing down this week. Bureau employees were abruptly informed Sunday afternoon that the watchdog agency's Washington, D.C. headquarters will not be open for the week. Workers and contractors were instructed to work remotely. No reason was stated for the sudden closure, but the move comes days after Elon Musk tweeted out CFP-BRP with a tombstone emoji. The Bureau did not respond to a request for comment. And President Trump announced on Sunday he will impose more tariffs, this time on all steel and aluminum products coming into the U.S. The president made his remarks on Air Force One while en route to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. The president also said he planned to announce this week new reciprocal tariffs on countries that impose tariffs on U.S. products. The president did not provide many details about how expensive the new tariffs would be or when they may go into effect. It is also not clear whether the new steel and aluminum tariffs will be in addition to tariffs already in place on exports from countries like China. Elon Musk is saying he has no plans to buy TikTok. The CEO of X, Tesla, and SpaceX said he had not put in a bid to buy the social media site and said even if he owned TikTok, he's not exactly sure he would not know what to do with it. The Chinese-owned app was said to be banned over national security concerns on January 20th. You'll remember President Trump gave the site's owners, ByteDance, 75 days to sell TikTok to an American buyer, or it may be forced to shut down. ByteDance has said it doesn't plan to sell, though some investors have publicly stated they're interested. The latest CBS News polling says Americans are pleasantly surprised and pleased that President Trump is doing more than they had anticipated in this early stage of his latest tenure in office, and they like what they see. Willie James Inman has more.
As President Trump carries out his agenda with dramatic changes to the government, a new CBS News YouGov poll shows the American public largely approves. 70% of Americans say President Trump is doing what he promised during the campaign. But there's one warning sign. 66% of Americans say he's not doing enough to lower prices.
Donald Trump won the election in large part because of folks saying that they were feeling the effects of inflation, and so that could be a key number to watch going forward.
Some of President Trump's executive actions on immigration and funding cuts are caught up in legal challenges, with as many as 12 federal judges putting the brakes on Trump's plans. Polling shows Americans are largely divided politically over the Department of Government Efficiency's efforts to audit and cut spending. Elon Musk and Doge are scrutinizing the expenses of at least 7 federal agencies, and the president warned there's more to come.
I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military.
Speaker Mike Johnson says he supports the president's move.
So having an independent audit again, having access to the files to dig this stuff out is a good thing for the country, and we support it.
Democrats have been fierce in their opposition, but are largely relying on court challenges in a fight against the administration.
We will look at every single tool in our toolbox, as we've done this last week, to make sure that we stop him from hurting people.
This week, the Senate is expected to discuss a complicated budget reconciliation bill, largely focused on border security. But Speaker Mike Johnson says the House is ready to discuss its own proposal. Either way, both sides have a March 14th deadline for government funding to tackle as well. Willie James Inman, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Now let's get a look at your first warn forecast. Meteorologist Blaze Keller joins us now. Blaze, what should we expect as we head into the work week?
Well, we are going to track 2 chances for snow Monday night, but then again Wednesday night into Thursday. Of the 2, the system Wednesday into Thursday looks to be the bigger of the 2 chances for snow. Let's first take a look at that Monday chance. After a quiet Monday, clouds are going to be increasing throughout the day. As we go to this time, 24 hours from now, we're going to watch as that snow moves on in, mainly across southern parts of the forecast area. Then shortly after midnight going into early Thursday morning, that light snow flurry activity will wrap up before we go into what looks to be a quiet Tuesday ahead of the chance for snow on Wednesday. So both our European and our GFS model, 2 of our longer range models, continue to pick up on this system. And now that we're getting to the time frame when now our short range models can pick up on it, they're also beginning to show a similar path of both the European and the GFS model. The Euro of the 2 here really is the one that snow lovers would like to have happen. We want that low pressure system to be further north so that we can really tap into some of that moisture in the way of snow. The GFS model continues to keep the low pressure system center just a little bit south of the Ohio River, so it's trended a little bit south, whereas the European model, if we look at that same time frame through the European model's lens, that center of low pressure is a little bit further north, closer to St. Louis, riding along the Ohio River. And now that we're in the time frame that our short-range models can begin to pick up on it, the North American model is similar to the European, where that center of low pressure is further to the north and not to the south. So in the next couple of days, we're going to watch to see where these models trend. Is the GFS model going to trend back northwards, or are the North American model and the European models going to be trending south and agree with the GFS? Already this has changed since this afternoon, and we're beginning to see some of those snow totals beginning to climb back up across southern parts of Wisconsin. This is new to me. We're seeing that darker blue closer to the state line. So that to me says that perhaps the GFS is beginning to agree with the European and the North American model, bringing that center of low pressure back to the north. I don't think that we'll see up to 6 inches of snow, and it's still a little bit too early to talk totals in a confident manner. What I want you to focus on is that further north, at least for now, you're likely going to accumulate the less amount of snow. Further to the south, especially south and east, you're likely going to have the best chance for snow, because we're here in our winter storm forecasting timeline, 1 to 3 days out, where we're still looking at the path. We're still going to see some changes, I would say, in the next day or so, but not big changes, minor changes, just kind of teetering where it's at, probably bouncing back north and south before it ultimately settles on the path. And then once we're 24 to 48 hours out, that's when we'll get a little bit more of an idea of how it's going to travel, and we'll have a better chance of telling then you guys what we can expect in the way of snow. So we're still going to keep that snow chance at about 40% for now, but it continues to look as though Wednesday is going to bring us some snow. And then we dry out Thursday, Friday before another chance for snow that Valentine's Day weekend, and then maybe Tuesday and Wednesday of that following week. We're a little bit more active here as we go into the middle of February.
Yeah, I know a lot of farmers and local business owners that really rely on that snow, so hopefully they can get some.
Yeah, and you know, that's why we put it on your guys' radar, so to speak. We have seen the consistency. It's not going away, but it would be truly an injustice to put out a snow total map now and say this is what we're going to get, because it's going to change. So we'll keep you guys updated when we are confident, and then you guys can kind of go from there and plan out the snow day
good,
maybe.
Blaze. Thank you. Coming up in sports, Andrew joins us with highlights from Super Bowl 59 next on News 3 Now.
Nothing quite compares to Super Bowl Sunday. Between the food and drinks, the music, the commercials, I just love that it brings everyone together to enjoy my favorite part of the night, the football. So let's talk about that. The Chiefs looking for the first Super Bowl three-peat. The Eagles looking to avenge their loss from 2 years ago. Scoreless halfway through the first, and the Eagles pushing the ball down the field to set up this. If you had tush push on your Super Bowl bingo card, this is where you would have crossed it off. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP, but his defense, they did their part too. 17-0 the score, Philly ahead. 2 minutes left before half. The Chiefs needed something here, and Zach Bond took it from them. The former Wisconsin Badger, one of just 2 former Badgers to ever intercept a pass in a Super Bowl game, and it definitely paid its dividends because Philly, they'd go on to win it 40-22. The Philadelphia Eagles, your Super Bowl champions of Super Bowl 59. For the 10th time in program history and the first time since 2021, Wisconsin women's hockey captured the WCHA regular season title yesterday, and the newly crowned conference champs celebrated with the Julianne By Cup last night. They woke up this morning ready for a border battle season sweep, trying to finish that off. They're 3-0 against the Gophers this year, trying to bring out those brooms. Final regular season game at Le Bon this year. This one scoreless through 2 periods. The Badgers trying to change that. Vivian Jungles sizing up her opponent and ciphers a shot past the keeper. The Badgers take the lead, and you can credit Casey O'Brien on the assist there. She became the second Badger ever to reach 250 career points in this contest. And then just 45 seconds of game time later, the Badgers, of course, wanted more, and who can blame them? This time it's Kirsten Sims finishing off the sick pass from Lacey Eden, and Wisconsin goes on to win it, and they do it handily. 6-1 the final score. Giannis Antetokounmpo strained his calf last weekend, and while the team assures it's nothing serious, it's also not going away as fast as they had hoped. So today they decided to shut him down for the next week, which includes next Sunday's NBA All-Star game. It's a sacrifice the team's willing to make with their eyes on a bigger prize.
We've just been monitoring it, and it just hasn't improved enough for us to play him. This was a playoff game. Would he play? Probably yes, but this is not. And we want to make sure he's playing in the playoffs. We'd love to have him, but you still got to be smart. At the end of the day, I think it's more important to get him healthy.
Meanwhile, the Bucks have lost 5 of their last 6, and Damian Lillard against the Sixers today, reminding the world there are 2 All-Stars in Milwaukee. Hits the 3 to extend the Bucks' lead to 8 in the third quarter. They hit a season-high 24 triples in this game. Lillard had 8 of them. And then later, the new guy, Kyle Kuzma, tries a triple. It's no good, but Dame Lillard is there for the second chance bucket. He'd finish with 43 points to go along with 8 rebounds and as many assists. The Bucks win it 135-127. And it's hard to talk about just about anything other than that Super Bowl. And I don't say that because it was the most exciting Super Bowl we've ever seen, because it certainly wasn't that, or even the most anticipated Super Bowl that we've seen recently. But there's just something about this day that brings together sports fans, non-sports fans, and it just is magical. I mean, you texted me this morning, it's Super Bowl Sunday.
I couldn't believe it. I don't know, it has that holiday feel to it.
It does.
Which most sporting events don't have that. But, I mean, another NFL season has come and gone, and we'll be right back at it come draft season, which is in Wisconsin. So looking forward to that.
That means now it's baseball season, by the way, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I think so.
UFL season. All right, well, sounds good. Thank you, Andrew. A final check of your first warn forecast is coming up after the break. And gone, do you have a favorite moment for the season?
Yeah, I think that for me, it would just be today. The Super Bowl was really fun, but thinking back throughout the season, I don't know, for the Packers, it was kind of an up and down year, one that is kind of forgettable. So for that reason, I'll say no, but today I'll take that as an answer.
I won't necessarily say a moment in particular, but the resurgence of the running back, I think, was really awesome to see with Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley leading the way. Hopefully that'll continue for years to come.
Absolutely.
All right, and speaking of seasons, we're still in the middle of
You're
winter.
not going to ask me.
I mean, do you have a favorite moment?
No, that was a joke for everybody playing at home. 20s and maybe a few low 30s tomorrow. 30s likely further south. 20s definitely further north, because that's where we have more of that snow on the ground. Clouds will be increasing throughout the day. Light snow chance Monday night, but a better snow chance looks to arrive later Wednesday and wrap up early Thursday morning.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.